I told you once already, we have to go. It's time to go. You've played enough in the park. It's time to go home. Stop shouting. Yes, that's us as parents, Rockstar parents. Sometimes we can lose our temper when our children do not behave the way that we want them to, and instead they're having a meltdown or a temper tantrum. I'm sure I'm not the only one that can sometimes feel a load of anger and frustration. But in this video, I want to explain why that happens. Why is it that we feel out of control? Why is it that our children have these temper tantrums, and what can we do about it so that their needs are met and our needs are met, so that we can enjoy parenting more, and so that they can get to express themselves freely and manage their emotions. That's more beneficial for them and their development and their confidence building. So welcome to my channel. If you're new to my channel, I am a confidence coach and I am a positive parenting fan. If you like this video, please leave a thumbs up and subscribe for more videos like this, because today I'm going to delve into a simple technique of how we can overcome our frustration and manage our anger whilst being able to diffuse our children's temper tantrums and help them to learn what their emotions are and help them to create a foundation for emotional intelligence. This tool is from an actual website that I found called Circle of Security for Parents. They also do it for facilitators and trainers out in the world as well. And I think it's amazing because they've got like animations that you can go and watch with demonstrations to explain different areas of children's development and what we can do to support them. So check them out. I'll leave the link below. So anywho, I want you to think about a time where your child has literally just had a meltdown and they're screaming. Maybe my child's now 1.5 almost, and she's already showing signs of like frustration and anger when she's trying to communicate with me when she wants something. And there has been times where I have felt a bit overwhelmed and a bit of anger starts to spurt. Not anger, I wouldn't say not 1.5, but I do feel overwhelmed and a bit frustrated. And I know that when our children reach 2+, those kind of tantrums starts to build up, and it can get overwhelming for us as parents. So think about a time where your child has just literally had a meltdown or a temper tantrum, and you remember that you literally lashed out on them, and maybe a few minutes later you felt quite bad because of it. Well, the reason why that happens is because our children actually, the things that they do can trigger our past experiences as children, and the way that we were treated when we express certain emotions, and the way that we were treated by our caregivers, either our parents or teachers or important role models in our lives, and that will tend to trigger certain emotions within us. So in the Circles of Security website, they give you an example of this, and they say that basically what happens is when your child is having a temper tantrum, say for example they're in the park and you've told them that, look, in 2 minutes we're going home, and then the 2 minutes is up, and you tell them you're taking them home, and your child starts getting really upset, starts crying, starts stamping their feet, and they don't want to leave, and you're literally trying to persuade them to leave, and then you're starting to feel anger arise in you. And then what happens is the Circle of Security uses a really good word for this, metaphor for this, and they call it shark music. So what happens is, when you're watching your child having a temper tantrum, you actually revert back to the past of the way that your parent or your caregiver responded to you when you were having a similar tantrum. So they call it shark music. So basically, imagine in the background, imagine you have these thoughts that come up from the past that says, oh, my child's just embarrassing me in front of everyone. I told her already that we have to go home in 2 minutes, and now she's having a temper tantrum. Like, this is not right. If I allow this to happen, she's just going to be spoiled. And on. This goes on in your mind, and it gets you even more frustrated, even more overwhelmed. And you're literally mimicking the way that maybe your parent or your caregiver or your loved one responded to you when you were in that similar situation. So that means that you're not actually dealing with the situation with your child's, you're not actually seeing your child's emotions clearly. You're actually acting upon that anger and lashing out on your child based on what happened to you in the past. Now, this all happens unconsciously. So what we need to do is, which is what I invite you to do to make sure that this doesn't keep happening and you can break the chain, because I know that as parents, we don't necessarily want to repeat the negative traits or negative mistakes that our caregivers may have done for us, We want to try and be the best parents we could be for our children. And one way to do that, to make sure that we don't repeat that shark music, is to make sure that we actually take the time to brainstorm what is it that our parents did to neglect how we were actually feeling in the moment. Did they shout at us? Did they punish us? Did they ignore us? What is it that didn't work for you that you felt had a detrimental impact on your self-esteem and your confidence, and it didn't allow you to feel acknowledged for the emotions that you were feeling? Take note of those. Maybe spend 5-10 minutes taking note of what didn't work for you. Like when I was younger, I always felt that whenever I did something bad, my dad wouldn't necessarily listen to what my perspective was. He wouldn't listen to how I felt. He wouldn't actually take time to understand what was going on with me. So I always felt ignored. I felt like I wasn't respected. I felt that I felt like I wasn't being seen, and that really had made me feel really bad, and it made me feel like there's something wrong with me. So it didn't help with my self-esteem. Don't get me wrong, I love my parents, but obviously we all make mistakes. We learn by what we're raised with. So we tend to, maybe my father was treated the same way with his parents, and we tend to repeat that behavior. But it's up to us to break that chain. So what we would do, once we know what the shark music is in our lives, we list them down. We can then break the chain by when our child is experiencing anger or frustration, or they literally just don't want to listen to what you're saying, they're arguing with you, you can just pause. And then once you notice that the anger is starting to come up, or any overwhelm or frustration, just pause and actually look at what's actually happening in the situation. When you feel that those negative thoughts are coming up of like, oh my gosh, my child's not listening to me, or you're starting to feel quite negative, just breathe and know and say to yourself, okay, it's just my shark music that's playing right now, from what my caregivers used to say to me. I'm going to deal with the situation right here, right now, by responding to how my child is feeling. And one way that I like to do this is to remind myself that my child is even though she's so young still, she's experiencing what I'd say, and I term adult feelings, and she doesn't understand what they are. So when she's feeling angry and frustrated, she doesn't really understand how to manage that, because she doesn't even know that she's feeling frustrated. She's just trying to communicate with me. So I remember that and go, look, it's my role to help her manage her emotions so that she grows up to have emotional intelligence. So for example, if you're back in that park and your child isn't listening to you, she's screaming and stomping her feet and she's angry, and people are starting to look your way, and it's, you know, people are like, oh my gosh, what's going on? And you're feeling overwhelmed, you're starting to feel overwhelmed. You need to pace yourself, stay calm, ignore the shark music, and then adapt yourself and actually just get to your child's level and show empathy. So you may kneel down to her level and say, look, I understand, and you want to label the emotion so that they understand what the emotion is. I understand that you're upset. I can see that you're frustrated. The problem is we have to leave now because you have to have dinner before you have your bath. You've got school early in the morning. So what is it that we can do right now to make you feel better so that we can go and do that? And then you can both come up with a solution, because when you say the problem is, that helps them to trigger like, okay, there's a problem, how can we solve that? You both come up with a consensus, you work together in a partnership, and then she calms down, she feels like you've seen her, she understands what she's feeling, that she felt angry or frustrated, and then she feels a mutual respect, and you feel respected as well because she's now seeing and hearing you. Because when we try and reach their level of anger and frustration, we can't communicate when both parties are angry. But if you stay as calm as possible, that will calm her down, and she will then realize that it's okay for her to be frustrated. It's okay for her to be angry, that they're not bad emotions. They're normal human emotions, and she doesn't need to suppress them. But you are now showing her how to manage those emotions, and that enables her to learn emotional intelligence. So that is what I just wanted to share with you right now. My child is, like I said, she's 14 months old, and I'm already using it with her. So when I feel overwhelmed, I just pace myself, breathe, and I empathize with her. As soon as I empathize with her, that calms me down. You can't empathize with someone and still be angry. So you kind of just go and look into their lens, look through how they're feeling, and label the emotion and say, look, I literally say this to her, she's only 14 months old, but I know she understands me. But I'll say, I know you're upset. I know you want that my phone. She likes to grab my phone sometimes. You see, the problem is the phone isn't clean. The phone isn't a toy, so I need to put it away. How about we play with this toy? And then we move on. She starts to calm down because I'm calm. She you know, she feels my energy. She knows my energy is safe and positive, and she starts to calm down. And then we're both able to move on. It helps her to move on from her emotion. So let me know if that helps. Leave a thumbs up if you liked it. If you've got another tool or other tools that you use as well to help deal with manage your child's emotions and help manage your own as well, leave them in the comments below, because it is super, super, super useful. I know that us parents, we always find this useful because it can be difficult to deal with the different developmental stages of our children and their emotions. It can be really, really overwhelming. So definitely leave a comment below, and I will see you next week for the next video. And happy parenting. Woohoo!